streaming, I think. It's media.
Je suis du côté italien.
Oui. Yeah, too much.
Looks very professional.
We're much too close. No?
Whatever.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, yes. I was tested and tomorrow I will be tested in the morning. Yeah. And then I have to be tested all the months in the Netherlands.
Algú voldrà més?
No crec que sí.
Tenim dos càmeres? Hi ha algú que m'assisteixi? Hola. Hola, buena tarde a tothom. Buenas tardes desde el Gran Teatro del Liceu. Estamos en el foyer con 8 de los directores artísticos, directores de casting, etcétera, de 8 teatros distintos de Europa. Vamos a hablar con ellos de la situación, de la difícil situación por la que está pasando el mundo de la ópera y cómo los teatros se organizan para superar este bache. Vamos a hablar casi en todos los idiomas, en inglés, en español, en italiano, en lo que más convenga, pero intentaremos hacernos entender. La primera pregunta que voy a lanzarles a ellos es justamente que nos expliquen en qué situación están, cómo se están organizando, si están emitiendo en conciertos, si se atreven a hacer ópera escenificada, si entra público o no entra público. Bueno, ya sabemos que España es el único país en el que en estos momentos los teatros están abiertos, admitiendo hasta el 50% del público. Pero vamos a intentar hacernos una composición de lugar y básicamente que nos predigan qué cambios pueden suceder en la ópera a partir de esta situación. Okay, so maybe the obvious question, afterwards you're going to explain what is your different situation in your houses. Maybe the obvious question is, how do you struggle to survive in this current situation? But besides this point, I would like to know if you believe that opera houses are going to change forever after this experience, even though if in a few months we are in a much better position, and thanks to the vacuum we are improving. Maybe you can predict that we are going to have lower budgets forever. Maybe we are going to be more flexible in the structures, or maybe the lower divos and divas fees, changes in the audiences maybe, or hybrid program live and online forever. These are the questions that maybe we can comment, and then afterwards we're going to continue doing the talking. We're going to introduce, first of all, Alessandro De Gloria del Teatro Massimo di Palermo. Benvenuto. You can speak Italian if you want, or English, it doesn't matter, because I think our audiences, if you speak a slow Italian, can understand.
I will, ok.
Go ahead, thank you.
Grazie a tutti, è un piacere essere qui con voi e ritrovarsi in una situazione così bella come quella che viviamo qui in questo momento a Barcellona, in Spagna, dove abbiamo potuto fare un concorso e dove abbiamo potuto partecipare all'opera dal vivo, col pubblico, con la scena. E questo è molto importante perché in questa situazione penso che l'opera può cambiare, è sempre cambiata nel tempo, può rinnovarsi, però non dobbiamo dimenticare quello che è lo spirito, quello che ogni pezzo musicale racconta, che sia un'opera, che sia un pezzo musicale sinfonico, raccontano un pezzo di storia della storia di tutti noi, e quando mettiamo in scena questi spettacoli li facciamo vivere e raccontiamo quel mondo. Per cui inventarsi questi nuovi modi per andare in scena o per produrre degli spettacoli per lo streaming, come attualmente anche il Teatro Massimo sta facendo, adattandosi a una situazione di emergenza, di necessità, perché noi non possiamo avere il pubblico, quindi lavoriamo per un pubblico virtuale che è a casa. E questo però deve sicuramente non diventare una normalità, penso, deve essere una situazione temporanea di sopravvivenza che ci aiuta a capire come possiamo sviluppare dei nuovi linguaggi per il pubblico, per innovare la tecnologia di ogni teatro, per far sì che sempre più persone possano fruire dei nostri spettacoli e della musica, ma allo stesso tempo non deve diventare una normalità, perché l'opera, la musica, vive col pubblico, con la scena, con tutto quello che è sempre stato e penso dovrà essere. Quindi non ci dobbiamo abituare a questa emergenza, speriamo che finisca presto. Grazie.
Me tienen que disculpar porque me he olvidado completamente de que estamos siendo hosting, ¿no? Somos invitados del Teatro del Liceo, por lo tanto, Valentí Oviedo, el director general del Gran Teatre, nos quería dar la bienvenida y yo lo he interrumpido completamente.
La confianza, no pasa absolutamente nada. Thank you very much for being here. It's a pleasure that you participate in the Tenor Viñas contest, and this is obviously a good opportunity to have several important people from the different operas from Europe, and obviously being together, this led us to talk about opera, to talk about the future, and that this could happen in this moment in Barcelona is obviously a big honor for us. And also, we are very proud that you can come here, and you can see that, fortunately, we can perform performances. We can celebrate the Tenor Viñas, and this is thanks, of course, to the determination of the different administrations. And I'm sure that the different theaters of Spain, I mean Teatro Real or Liceu, we have been fighting also for that, and we have been determined that this can happen. So thank you very much for being here. Then we will talk about the future and what is happening currently. But please be welcome, and I hope that you spend a very good time here in Barcelona.
Gracias y disculpen porque tampoco he estado introduciendo. A mi izquierda está Joan Matabós, que anteriormente era director artístico del Teatro del Liceu y ahora es director artístico del Teatro Real de Madrid. Tenemos a Tobias Hassan de la Staatsoper Berlín. Tenemos a Christoph Schifferl, so sorry, Solford, thank you, de la Deutsche Oper Berlín. Tenemos a Damià Carbonell, que está en la Deutsche Opera. Y tenemos a Christian Schirm de la Ópera Nacional de París y Alessandro Galoppini del Teatro alla Scala di Milano, al que vamos a dar a continuación la palabra. Please, continue.
Grazie dell'invito. È sempre un piacere essere veramente a Barcellona e in questo teatro perfettamente organizzato e ottimizzato, e lo dimostra anche in questi giorni in tutta l'organizzazione del concorso e della produzione lirica. Tutto quello che è avvenuto fino adesso è storia, quindi è inutile raccontarla. Noi siamo arrivati, dopo tutti i tentativi possibili e con più di metà del coro con il Covid, a fare adesso il nostro programma è un'opera in streaming al mese, un concerto, un balletto e qualche recital. Mm-hmm. Questo per i prossimi mesi. Nel frattempo, perché di ogni necessità si deve far virtù, abbiamo approntato un programma di innovazione, di digitalizzazione del teatro. Stiamo lavorando su tutto l'apparato, a partire dal wifi ai programmi, l'ottimizzazione della parte anche del video, dello streaming, di tutte queste cose. Quindi un grandissimo progetto, e stiamo facendo un adeguamento sulla sala dell'acustica, che purtroppo eravamo sempre costretti a fare solo nel mese di agosto, e invece adesso ne stiamo approfittando per portarci avanti. Il problema generale, io sono il casting manager del teatro, quindi per fortuna non ho i problemi, diciamo, sulle mie spalle i problemi del budget, perché il problema sarà la sostenibilità di questa situazione con molti dipendenti e senza avere la possibilità degli introiti della biglietteria. È un sistema che non regge, non funziona. Dovremmo trovare, speriamo presto, una soluzione a questo e speriamo, facendo le preghiere, di risolvere presto con il vaccino e avere la possibilità di riprendere, penso, lentamente a far ritornare il pubblico, perché non sarà così facile. E quindi questo è il quadro principalmente del teatro alla
Thank
Scala.
you. Maybe Mr. Schirm can talk about the situation in Paris?
Well, I think the situation, the health crisis is very, very difficult in the situation in Paris because like in other theaters, but last year in 2020 we lost 50 million euros during this season, and 2021 is going to be not very, very good. So I think your question was very, very good. I think after it's not going to be like before, for sure.
What's going to happen?
Probably the French government is now studying probably a reform of the opera. I don't know what this reform is going to be, but I think it's very, very serious. 1,500 people are working at a theater. So the problem is different for the ballet, for instance. If the ballet doesn't perform, or they need to work because every day, otherwise they lose their physical training. So that's very important. So we go on working because it's very important to work, but the consequences of this COVID crisis is economical, political, and psychological. Psychological, why? Because in the house, the people now are completely depressed. It's nothing to do with the trade unions or whatever the problems can be, but the situation, gives this, psychological depression. So that's very, very, and we have every week a direction committee, and sometimes twice a week, because the government cannot see the future. So I don't know, Tobias will talk about, or Christoph, about Germany, because they say maybe we are not performed till the end of March. In France, in Paris, they say, well, maybe we can perform in 2 weeks or in 4 weeks. So, I mean, we don't have any vision of the future, and that's very, very difficult for the personnel, for all the people. And also, if we decide to perform in 2 weeks, I mean, the marketing and all the box office has to be ready. So if they sell the tickets or not. If they sell and we don't perform, so it's an enormous amount of work for all the teams. So we don't know what to do. So the minister, Madame Bachelot, said yesterday or 2 days ago, the English variant of the virus, it's a new thing. So we don't want to say, normally we're supposed to open in mid of February, but I'm not sure, because they said, no, the contamination is so dangerous, so they don't want to take the risk of this thing. In the past, with this AIDS virus, the government, did not realize on time the consequences of the virus. So it was a terrible situation, and politicians went to court because of that. Nowadays, nobody wants to take the risk.
I understand.
So we don't know exactly what's going on.
Well, maybe Valentín Oviedo can speak for, and afterwards John Matavos, for the situation in Spain, which has been hopefully better than in other countries, but not easy, on the contrary.
No,
but we took the example, the minister took the example of Barcelona, of the virus in her press conference, and saying that if we do a test in the theater, we can perform. But she said, well, we cannot do a test for 2,700 people or 1,500 people every day or over the performances. But it took an example Barcelona.
Lo primero que nosotros tenemos que pensar, o bajo mi punto de vista tenemos que pensar, es que, efectivamente, si la ópera se para, es posible que la gente le cueste volver a venir. If people don't come, if we stop, probably people won't come again, or will take a lot of effort that people will come again. Porque el cerebro es un músculo como cualquier otro. Si vas 2 meses sin ir al gimnasio, te cuesta volver. Entonces, tenemos la pretensión de estar en el top of mind de la gente y que no nos olvide era algo fundamental. Y que también entendemos que esto es una oportunidad para poner la cultura en el centro de la vida de las personas. Como así se demostró cuando estábamos confinados y como así queremos que se demuestre en el día a día. Con lo cual, la pandemia podía suponer una oportunidad para poner en valor el hecho cultural y encontrar allí donde hay crisis ciertas oportunidades. Una vez esto logrado, con el esfuerzo, hay que reconocer, evidentemente, de que en julio se estrenó La Traviata en Madrid y eso fue realmente importante para ir detrás y coger ese carro y sumarnos a ese carro y hacerlo juntos. Eso fue fundamental lo que pasó en el Real. Y a partir de ahí, efectivamente, esto es una montaña rusa. El trabajo ingente cada día para poder abrir y cerrar es tremendo. Y ahí aprendimos, bajo mi punto de vista, 4 reglas que eran fundamentales para pasar esta temporada. Primero, la salud es primordial y el sentirse seguro era primordial. ¿Por qué? Pues porque cancelar una función, porque alguien tuviera un positivo, significaba perder la confianza de la gente y perder un montón de dinero, porque lo has preparado todo y luego no se lleva a cabo. Segundo, preservar el proyecto artístico era la segunda variable importantísima. Tercera, intentar pedir a la gente que entendiera que este año era excepcional y que fuera lo más generoso posible en entender los cambios que pudiéramos hacer. Y cuarto, internamente, y muy importante, pedir flexibilidad y capacidad de moverse en momentos determinados. Con estas 4 reglas hemos podido ir avanzando en esa temporada. Por ejemplo, cancelar funciones de La Traviata y ponerlas 3 días más tarde cuando estaba programada, teniendo en cuenta cómo es actualmente el convenio, ha implicado una generosidad enorme por parte de todos los trabajadores para implicarse de que esto fuera posible, y eso hay que aplaudirlo. La capacidad del equipo artístico de cambiar en un momento dado a cantantes porque alguien había dado positivo y se tenía que toda la gente que había alrededor ponerse en cuarentena para preservar para preservar la función y encontrar los recambios, pues ha supuesto por parte del equipo artístico un tema muy rápido. Y la generosidad por parte del público de cambiar de butaca para hacer el uno sí, uno no, el 50% de capacidad, ahora te cancelamos esto, ahora es a las 6 de la tarde, ahora es a las 7, ahora no lo hacemos, etcétera, y que no nos hundan a críticas, sino que han visto el esfuerzo por parte de unos y otros y esa comprensión ha sido muy importante. ¿Cómo saldremos de aquí? Yo creo que, que podemos salir reforzados en cuanto a que la ópera o el hecho cultural es realmente importante. ¿Que la digitalización va a ser algo que está para quedarse? Evidentemente, pero como elemento complementario al hecho del arte en vivo. Porque lo que un espectador siente al sentir cantar Hermon el Ayajo o John Osborne y la conexión de romper la cuarta pared, eso no hay plataforma digital que lo gane. Eso sí, todo lo que se puede aportar a través de las plataformas digitales en cuanto a elementos educativos, formativos, complementarios, para disfrutar más del hecho de la cultura en vivo, lógicamente eso es algo que quizás estamos retrasados y que por narices, cuando se acabe esto de la pandemia, iremos para adelante. Y por encima de todo, yo creo que en el 2022, cuando salgamos de aquí, lo que hemos cambiado es de era. Hemos pasado del siglo XX al siglo XXI. El siglo XXI empieza en el 2022. Y eso supone muchísimos cambios. Pensar en cómo es la generación Z y la generación X, que no es como la X y las anteriores, en cuáles son los valores que hay que tener en cuenta, y los teatros de ópera no pueden ser anacrónicos a la realidad actual y hay que modernizarse. Y ahí hay un cambio cultural y un cambio de valores importantísimo que hay que tener en cuenta si queremos que las óperas sobrevivan más allá de los temas económicos, que lógicamente están. Para eso están los créditos a largo plazo, de algún modo. Si el resto cambia, todo puede ir girando en positivo, pero sobre todo tiene que haber, bajo mi punto de vista, un cambio cultural dentro también de lo que es el hecho del teatro de ópera.
No, desde luego es un lujazo tener a toda la gente de los teatros de ópera aquí, gracias al concurso Viñas, porque en otras circunstancias es difícil que se dé esa posibilidad. Nos gustaría dar la palabra ahora a Joan Matabós, también un poco preguntándole por ese ímpetu que ha tenido por parte del Gobierno español de apoyar y mantener y activamente querer que el Teatro Real estuviera abierto. Esto ha sido un activo que otros países no pueden poner encima de la mesa.
Bueno, primero, a mí lo que me gustaría es felicitar al concurso Viñas y al Gran Teatre del Liceu por la valentía de llevar a cabo el concurso a pesar de la coyuntura sanitaria que estamos viviendo. A mí me parece que esto realmente es fantástico que haya podido pasar. Yo mismo, la verdad es que las semanas antes estaba oliéndome que en algún momento esto no podría pasar, básicamente porque ¿cómo traer todos esos cantantes que vienen de diversos sitios del mundo a Barcelona en estos momentos? Es que parece casi un milagro.
Rusia, Corea.
Por parte del Teatro Real, a ver, nosotros tuvimos muy claro desde el primer momento que cerrar el teatro era una de las últimas opciones. Es decir, no digo que sea la última, pero en cualquier caso realmente es una opción que cuanto menos necesariamente se tenga que contemplar, mejor. Y nos impusimos en su momento la manera de adaptar la actividad al protocolo sanitario que nos permitía pues abrir el teatro con garantías de seguridad. Yo supongo que todos los teatros lo han hecho, pero como dices tú, pues ha habido más apoyo o menos según los países y según los gobiernos. Pero vamos, nosotros lo que hicimos es básicamente, se abrió el teatro básicamente estableciendo en primer lugar un protocolo sanitario, un protocolo sanitario de seguridad para artistas, para técnicos, para administrativos, para público. Y esto evidentemente pues no es nada fácil porque el protocolo sanitario te impone obviamente unas condiciones de trabajo muy diferentes a las habituales en todo lo que afecta a la actividad normal de un teatro. Por lo tanto, todo esto pues realmente le añade a la gestión de un teatro una complejidad bastante importante. Pues yo qué sé, la utilización de los espacios del teatro, por ejemplo, pues se ve muy modificada y muy limitada. El protocolo de los ensayos, las normas de distanciamiento, el uso de mascarillas, los test periódicos, en fin, todas estas cosas. Todo es más complicado que antes, pero complicado no necesariamente, al menos no en todos los sitios, quiere decir imposible. Y mientras esto no sea imposible, nosotros vamos a intentar seguir encontrando la manera de defender la temporada. A mí me parece que lo que está claro es que el protocolo probablemente es muy similar al que se tiene que seguir en un teatro y en otro, pero a mí me parece que hay teatros que por su arquitectura, y simplemente por esto, por su arquitectura, por la forma como están construidos, permite más que se pueda aplicar el protocolo que otros. En el Teatro Real tenemos la suerte de que hay elementos arquitectónicos del teatro que permiten, por ejemplo, tenemos un foso de orquesta que nunca se utiliza, que es el foso grande, que se utiliza solamente cuando se hace, pues, no sé, Electra de Strauss, que necesita 120 músicos, que esto se utiliza a lo mejor una vez en toda la temporada y que utilizando este foso para, pues, títulos que normalmente haríamos con el foso pequeño, que no es tan pequeño porque es el foso con el que haríamos habitualmente cualquier Mozart, cualquier Verdi, pues obviamente eso te permite mantener en el foso distancias de seguridad sin demasiado trauma. Pierdes unas filas del patio de butacas, pero realmente es posible organizarlo. Pero hay otros teatros que no tienen estas posibilidades y entonces probablemente no les queda más remedio que cerrar sus puertas. A mí me parece que Christian Schirn tenía toda la razón cuando decía que la crisis es a la vez económica, política y psicológica. Creo que claramente la situación post-COVID nada va a ser lo mismo. Pero yo creo que La recuperación tampoco, un poco enlazando con lo que decía Valentín Oviedo, la recuperación tampoco va a ser exactamente la misma cuando se ha parado completamente la actividad o cuando se ha intentado, a pesar de todo, seguir estando ahí. Entonces, a mí me parece que dentro de lo posible, y repito, esto es algo que en algunos sitios es posible, en otros no, por circunstancias y por coyunturas muy diferentes, pero a mí me parece que si es posible, de alguna manera, encontrar una solución para no tener que tomar la solución de cerrar el teatro, yo creo que tenemos que intentarlo por muchos motivos, también por respeto a los artistas. Que, o sea, los artistas en esta crisis han sido especialmente damnificados, que es decir, algunos de ellos realmente están viviendo situaciones absolutamente terribles, han visto cómo sus contratos se cancelaban durante meses, algunos están literalmente pasando hambre, y a mí me parece que si hay alguna forma, que en algunas veces no la hay realmente, pero si hay alguna forma de intentar tirar para adelante, está bien intentar hacerlo.
Okay, maybe Tobias Hassan from the Staatsoper Berlin can explain us, because I remember it was a production with Calixto Bieto and Roberto Alagna, Lohengrin, that's right?
Oh, yes.
And we can see that in a streaming, and I wonder, so they do that just once, and what happens next, and how is the cost, and how do you end doing this? I mean.
Yes, we are not in the fantastic situation like here in Barcelona that we are allowed to play for public, but we realized very soon that we have to produce the operas which were planned that season, not only because we have the chorus and the orchestra to work and to keep in shape, because it's not just like the ballet dancers, also the chorus has to sing every day.
Yes.
You don't want to hear a chorus after 1 year at home, that will not be the same chorus anymore. And so one duty is that we keep them working to retain the level, and also opera has a different rhythm, and we have all those productions which were scheduled now also for future seasons. So if we don't do the Longre now, I have to change it in the next season, the season after, and the season after. And that will lead to a chain reaction which is terrible. So we decided that we will do all the new productions to a certain point until they are ready, so the lighting is done and the costumes and everything. Mm-hmm. And to keep the motivation high, we not just count on streaming, which every house now does, but we also try to get a TV station for each production to bring it home, yes, but not only on the computer, not only in front of a small little tablet or something, but at least in television, ideally on the weekend. So that we fight for, and that keeps all our employees quite motivated, I have to say. Mm-hmm. And they, and proud of what we produce. You still can quarrel if the production is good or not, that's not the point. But the energy in the house remains alive like that.
Mm-hmm. So how is the future? How, and maybe make me Mr. Schufrel. Christoph, please, from the Deutsche Oper Berlin. Can you explain us how? Because I believe that you work more or less like Tobias.
No, we are doing a little bit differently.
Okay, interesting.
Actually, there's now one very nice situation. You know, normally Tobias and me, we are rivals in Berlin, and we try to get more audience, better critiques, everything. Now there's no reason to fight.
So you're super friends. Super friends.
So right now we are just fighting against Corona together. So the situation is completely new. But actually we did a little bit different than the Staatsoper. When the audience was allowed, we did one production. We could do one production where we had a very, very strict testing. We tested daily. And so it was not a Corona production. So it was a complete normal production. And now we'll do finally, after 3 months, again, a new production. It will be Francesca da Rimini, directed by Christoph Loy. And we'll test also everybody every day. Because what we don't want to have is to have a Corona production then in the future, where everybody is on distance and the chorus is on distance. So, I mean, as we are repertoire houses, it doesn't really help us to have then, oh yes, it's so strange, this production. It was 10 years ago when we had Corona, that's why Siegmund never kisses Sieglinde.
Well, it can be a museum piece.
Yes, yeah, well, I think it's not so interesting.
That was so public that we will remain like, we will keep like a Corona remembrance, and the rest can be adjusted. I'm a little bit more optimistic than Christoph.
Yeah.
Once you have the production, you can let them kiss easily.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But it's curious that being in the same city, you work so differently.
Yes. One thing which is the same for us, but I think it's in many of the countries the same, we have the wonderful German word Kurzarbeit, which makes, in French, it's chômage technique. Maybe it's the same kind of in yeah. And
Chômage partiel.
yeah, chômage partiel. That means right now when our chorus and the orchestra and the technicians don't work, we get 60% of their salary from the agency of work. So in the moment, actually, in all of both our houses, the result of 2020 was as brilliant as it was never before, because we finished with a plus. And I think we can say it because I assume this plus we need it later, because usually the town always gives us the difference when salaries increase.
Yeah.
And I don't think that in the next 2-3 years they'll give us this difference. So probably we'll need to take it from that what we have taken now back. And I assume that audiences won't come back that quickly. So I don't think that we'll have full house immediately when all is over. So right now, I'm not very pessimistic for the future because we have this money right now, and I think it will again slowly go back. But of course, we don't know. Just one last thing: in Germany, we are all forbidden not to play right now, and we are very envious for Spain. It's maybe also to understand in Germany there are 69 opera houses, even more, and I think when you do a rule, you should do the rule for the whole country. And many of the smaller companies in Germany, they wouldn't have the possibility to test everybody just, and so that makes sense that the whole country is locked.
Okay, so everyone
Cultural.
or no one?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly, yeah.
Still, the theater can decide on his own because we're just locked until, I think now it's new until mid-February, but the theater, not like Christian said for Paris, the theater can decide on its own how long it closes, I think. Because if you always just decide for the next 2 weeks, that's not the rhythm of opera. So you have to get a little bit more space.
Of course.
That's why we said we will not play until the end of March on our own, not because the politicians forced us, but for our company to have more clarity.
Okay, okay. So let's hear the experience of Damián Carbonell from de la Ópera Nacional de Holanda. ¿Puedes explicarnos un poco?
En nuestro caso es también similar al de Alemania y en estos momentos la difícil situación en la que nos encontramos es que el gobierno nos permite estar abiertos y nos permite trabajar, pero no nos permite tener público. Por lo tanto, lo que estamos haciendo es producir para producciones online. Empezamos, la temporada pasada cerramos en marzo, en junio nos permitieron tener público, pero fue muy limitado, 30 personas y después pasamos a 100 y empezamos haciendo recitales de pequeño formato. Y después, para abrir temporada en septiembre, hemos cambiado toda la temporada actual, empezamos con un nuevo espectáculo, con todas las reglas, distancia de 1,50 m, después cuando cantan 2 metros, toda una serie de protocolos que hemos ido estudiando. Tenemos una task force que se llama allí que nos dice lo que podemos hacer y lo que no podemos hacer. Y hemos ido trampeando toda la temporada, pues siendo flexibles e intentando producir para público. Empezamos en septiembre, octubre, después en octubre, a finales de octubre, ya nos prohibieron tener público. Entonces, los proyectos que estábamos ensayando en aquel momento, que estábamos haciendo una noche de Fígaro adaptada a las distancias, pues pasó a ser una producción online. El problema es que nos dimos cuenta que unas bodas de Fígaro con distancias tiene poco sentido, porque, como decía Christoph, cómo se besan puro teatro como es La Noche de Figaro, que necesita contacto, besos, abrazos, pues la verdad que nos dimos cuenta que es difícil ver una producción de ese tipo con distancias, porque Susana, Fígaro estaban siempre a 1,5 metros y es difícil. Entonces, lo que estamos haciendo ahora es adaptando cada día a la normativa que va cambiando. Ayer hubo una nueva rueda de prensa del Gobierno en la cual han hecho nuevas normativas más estrictas. Por lo tanto, tuvimos que cancelar ayer una producción que empezábamos a ensayar el lunes. Y lo que pedimos pues, al teatro, a los trabajadores, es que sean flexibles, pero tenemos que mantener el entusiasmo y tenemos que mantener también la maquinaria produciendo. Las orquestas, nosotros trabajamos con 5 orquestas, no tenemos orquesta propia, trabajamos con la orquesta del Concertgebouw, con la Netherlands Philharmonisch, con la Netherlands Kammerorchester, con la Residency y después siempre invitamos también a una orquesta para barroco. Por lo tanto, también tenemos que cumplir con los contratos que tenemos con todas estas orquestas y tenemos que ir programando para ellas también. Hemos intentado hacer lobby con las distintas instituciones culturales del país, el Concertgebouw, la Rotterdam Phil, etc., pero no hemos conseguido que nos dejaran tener público. Esperamos que a partir de abril, a lo mejor, la cosa se flexibilizará, pero
de momento
el problema es que es la incertidumbre. Pero bueno, esto nos hace estar despiertos y keep on going, como dicen, y esta es la situación en Holanda.
El problema siempre es, the problem is always, if you don't have public, you don't have money also. I mean, what do you do?
En nuestro caso, tenemos la suerte que el gobierno holandés ha compensado la falta de ingresos por entradas con un extra fund. Es decir, que el gobierno holandés, el Ministerio de Cultura, es consciente de esto y, por lo tanto, nos amplía el soporte económico con una aportación extraordinaria por la falta de ingresos por taquilla.
Que este debe ser el caso también de Alemania. It should be the case also in Germany.
Actually, in the case of Deutsche Oper Berlin, the income from the box office is not so important. We have quite low prices, and anyway, as we have the 3 theaters, at least ours is never 100% full. So the fact that we don't have the box office in the moment is not such an important thing, and it's completely compensated by the Kurzarbeit.
Yeah. That's what I've said.
Yeah.
So what's the difference with the Paris Opera, actually?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because when I arrived in the theater 25 years ago, the subsidy from the state was 60% and 40% box office. Nowadays, it's the contrary. It's 60% the box office. And if we don't perform, we lose the sponsors.
Exactly.
And the sponsors in the Paris Opera last year, for instance, it's 17 million euros for the season. So it's an enormous amount of money. So if you don't perform, if you don't have gala, if you don't have the budget in order, you know. And the subsidy of the state is only 40%.
40%. So the government in France, it's not helping.
Yes, but less and less and less.
I can believe that now. I mean, these 50 millions, right? You said 50
we lose 50 million euros last season, but of course the government is going to refund the theatre because it's a national thing.
Exactly.
So they're going to refund, but they say we want a reform because we cannot go on like that for the future.
Time.
So I don't know what's going to happen.
Yo creo que hay que entender que las consecuencias para un teatro de la situación actual, en lo que se refiere al hecho de cancelar las funciones, etcétera, no es lo mismo, obviamente, para un teatro que tenga pues el 24% de subvención pública o el 48%, que son los casos del Teatro Real y del Liceo de Barcelona, que teatros que a lo mejor tienen una subvención que pueda ser, yo que sé, del 80%, por ejemplo. Es decir, en estos casos en que realmente el porcentaje de ingresos a través de taquillaje es muy reducido, la situación actual está afectando en realidad menos. Es decir, puede ser muy vistoso el hecho de cerrar el teatro, pero de hecho la parte de ingresos que el teatro deja de percibir probablemente se ve sobradamente compensado con también la reducción de gastos que supone la situación actual. A lo mejor incluso en el caso, en fin, que nos conocemos algunos teatros que lo que están es ahorrando dinero, realmente. Pero claro, cuando la situaciones, por ejemplo, el caso del Teatro Real, que la parte de subvención es del 24%, es que, claro, entonces cuidadito, porque el hecho de no estar haciendo funciones está provocando un auténtico problema enorme realmente para el teatro, porque por un lado la parte de taquillaje es altísima y por lo tanto a eso pues dejas de tenerlo, o al menos pues con las limitaciones de aforo lo tienes muy parcialmente, y luego lo que estaba comentando Cristian también, que es que cerrar el teatro tiene unas implicaciones de que es extremadamente difícil mantener toda la estructura de patrocinio privado. Muy difícil.
Si no hay función, no hay patrocinio.
Entonces, realmente, a mí me parece que también tiene toda la lógica que en España, que los teatros están muy poco subvencionados realmente respecto a lo que es el resto de Europa, pues no se cierren con demasiada alegría, porque realmente cerrar un teatro en España tiene unas consecuencias que no tienen nada que ver con la que tiene en Alemania,
O con la que tiene en Francia también, porque no sé si nuestros gobiernos están tan dispuestos.
But we are not allowed, for instance, we pay the personal. We cannot have the chômage partial unemployment, because we get a subsidy from the state. So we pay the people, but it's really, it's the reason why they want a reform.
Of course.
But we pay the people, thank God, not in like in the metropolitan.
Per la Scala la differenza tra la spesa, diciamo, quanto si spende per la parte artistica e l'incasso è positiva di 10 milioni. Quindi non avere la biglietteria vuol dire se non fai niente perdi 10 milioni. Solo la serata del 7 dicembre, l'inaugurazione della Scala, incassa 2 milioni e 700, 2 milioni e 800 mila euro. Quest'anno abbiamo fatto un grande show, una grande parata di stelle, ma la RAI ovviamente ha acquistato tutti i diritti, l'ha trasmesso, ma non è paragonabile quello che si può incassare dai diritti televisivi rispetto ad un incasso del genere. Quindi per noi non avere il pubblico è pesante.
È un disastro. Anche in Palermo.
Sì, lo stesso, ma il Teatro Massimo di Palermo è, oltre ad essere un teatro d'opera, è anche un grande monumento della città, della Sicilia, e noi abbiamo perso quasi 1 milione di euro di incassi per le visite soltanto che noi abbiamo come monumento del teatro, più chiaramente gli incassi degli spettacoli. Anche noi abbiamo dei biglietti non troppo cari, e quindi diciamo nel budget generale chiaramente l'incasso non è la voce primaria, ma chiaramente va a incidere poi su quello che, finché non avremo un ristoro da parte dello Stato di questi mancati incassi, va a incidere sul budget che noi potremo avere a disposizione per costruire quello che potrà essere la stagione in corso di questo anno. Quindi chiaramente è una situazione molto complessa, però dobbiamo andare avanti e in questo preciso momento abbiamo facendo una nuova produzione per lo streaming, e comunque quando arrivano in teatro degli artisti, un regista, dei cantanti, si rinnova l'energia positiva e tutti danno il massimo per fare comunque musica e spettacolo, per quanto possibile.
Per la depressione psicologica,
Sì,
no?
esatto, legandomi a quello che diceva Cristian, assolutamente. Noi abbiamo avuto in gennaio 2 produzioni insieme. Abbiamo fatto per il video una produzione di un piccolo pasticcio mozartiano con un giovane regista che abbiamo avuto anche a Madrid, Gianmaria Riverta, e abbiamo girato questo spettacolo, quindi avevamo un equipe di video, un gruppo di cantanti giovani, e contestualmente nelle altre parti c'erano invece i cantanti più importanti, più grandi, Johannes Jurat, il regista che sta curando questo spettacolo, che andrà il 26 di gennaio in onda, e questo ha creato un fermento nel teatro enorme, però è un peccato non poterlo condividere poi con il pubblico. Ma almeno facciamo qualcosa.
Yo creo que está cerrado puede generar el problema, o así lo entendíamos, de perder hábitos. Perder el hábito de cómo comunicar, perder el hábito de cómo montar, de perder el hábito de cómo crear, porque la gente estando en lockdown, estando en casa sin funcionar, se desaprende. Y el volver a aprender no es de la noche al día, o al menos así lo vivimos cuando estuvimos de marzo a julio. El arrancar de nuevo no fue sencillo para nada. Y estar todo un año sin el hábito de teniendo la máquina parada, no es como decíamos ayer, es cómo lo engranas todo, cómo convences otra vez de nuevo, cómo las ideas se vuelven a crear, porque las ideas se crean estando, no solo pensando. Y eso es peligroso, eso es lo que el día después, no solo en los teatros de ópera, sino en la sociedad en general, el haber estado parados y el de arrancar, para mí eso es algo muy delicado, que en la medida de posible, si podemos estar en funcionamiento, ese training de todos los stakeholders que forman parte del teatro no se pierde. Y para mí eso es algo mucho más fundamental de lo que imaginamos.
Sí, yo creo que lo que comentaba Valentí, perder hábitos, desde luego, pero además de perder hábitos, yo más debería decir que para determinados teatros hay el peligro de perder el modelo, de realmente perder el modelo de gestión, lo cual, evidentemente, cuando un teatro tiene un porcentaje de subvención pues, más generoso, probablemente ese peligro no existe. Pero cuando un teatro tiene un modelo de gestión tan frágil, en fin, que funciona, pero que es tan, pues realmente perder el modelo puede ser realmente muy grave, lo cual evidentemente, a ver, en la situación que estamos, lo que importa realmente, y realmente lo único que importa de verdad, es las condiciones sanitarias, es decir, el que realmente todo lo que se haga porque se puede hacer, porque sanitariamente se puede hacer, porque existe una protección al 100% para todos los implicados, artistas públicos, para dar los pasos que tengan que dar. Pero es evidente que para un teatro que le va su propio modelo de gestión, además de sus propios hábitos, pues es que es casi un tema de supervivencia el intentarlo. Y si no se puede, no se puede. Pero intentarlo es un tema de supervivencia. A mí me parece que a lo mejor hay teatros que a lo mejor esto, pues yo qué sé, pues cerrar el teatro un tiempo, pues puede ser una solución que al final te plantea menos problemas también.
Y también la pregunta de cara al futuro es hasta qué punto no son temidas las políticas de austeridad graves, ¿no? en breves años. I mean, do you see the possibility of a very strict austerity?
So cut of subsidy.
Exactly.
Translate.
Policies that in a few years can be really, really put us in a dark situation. Do you feel that? Do you have this fear?
I'm always so optimistic now.
Okay.
Christoph is optimistic, but the danger is, for the future, is the numerical and streaming and film. I think theater, opera is live. Better a small performance in a small theater with good artists than to have film with stars. But the danger is that, because well, you can film, and people don't go to the theater and they watch on. I don't know who watched. We put on streaming lots of things in Paris also, like other theaters. But I don't know who watched that. For instance, we put the Bayadère on streaming. So now you have to pay 10 euros, I think, to see the Bayadère. I don't know who is going to pay 10 euros to see the Bayadère on television. I don't know. But there is a risk. The danger is the numerical future for the theater. Live in a small theater, an auditorium. The emotion can only be in a theater. What I think, maybe my colleagues not, but...
No, you're completely right, but the situation is not only about finances and about opera, but we are living in a world of no culture now for 12 months nearly. It's not only opera, it's with no classical music, no museums, no cinema, and people are staying at home and just eating. So we're just talking about very savage topics, money and eating, but we completely deny the need of talking about culture. And health is number one, that's clear, and economics is number two, but then there is culture, and we are living without culture, and that brings us back to ancient times, like animals. So we have to fight very much for arts and culture, not only for money and opera.
Mm-hmm. But I think we have to rethink about how is the experience that our audience is going to will have here. We are going to try to add value to this audience. So, for example, if someone in intermission have to be queuing for a long time before taking the drink and the sandwich, perhaps this will be a bad experience. So how we rethink the way of that this is much better, or why we rethink that the food is of a high quality, or even, of course, what happened on the stage is absolutely amazing. So this makes us that we have to think more about our venues and this at the end, who will win will be our audience. So I think that this can be a good thing in order to rethink our venues, for example. And also, I think it will be again a good moment to collaborate among all the theaters. So we do co-productions, we do many things, but probably nowadays we'll be more sensitive among one another in order to collaborate one another and not only think to us, because at the end we are in the same ship actually. No? So perhaps this makes us to think more among us. At the end, if we show that that the society needs us, I'm really sure that the budget will not cut down. So I completely agree with Christoph. I'm optimistic too. I'm optimistic too. But we have to show and every day to demonstrate that we are completely necessary, and I do believe that actually.
Well, I can imagine Paris without the opera, actually. I mean, the government in France has this very clear.
Opera costs a lot, and most of the people, yes, in Paris, they say, well, but why the opera has so much money, spends so much money for only a few people? You know, we have to fight always against that. And they say, well, okay, now we film, we have on streaming, everybody can watch it. I said, it's dangerous. Emotion, we have to go to the schools, we have to, Tobias spoke about culture, it's very, very important. To visit a museum on the website has nothing to do with going in a museum and to see the colors, the right color, the paintings and so on. It's the same for music, it's the same for opera. So we have to defend the theater, we have to defend our art.
Valentin.
It's a really short thing. And I think I told you that someday. There is something that China and the States buy from Europe. That is our values of our civilization created thanks to the innovation, the creativity, and the creation, the innovation and the creativity. And the opera has all of that. And thanks to that, I'm sure that the society that there are in Europe makes the design much better, makes the innovation much better, thinks in another way, and this is essential for the values of Europe. This is why I do really think that the arts will be put in the center, like science, but the arts will be in the center of our society, because this the add value that Europe has is the creativity, is the design, is the innovation, is everything that is made thanks to the arts. And I think that all the governments has to see these things. If I was born in the States or in China, I perhaps I wouldn't say that, but in Europe, everything is built thanks to creativity, thanks to the arts. So I think that we are fortunate, we are lucky for that.
And the big polemics in Paris about the necessity of culture, the government privileged, of course, the shopping, the Grand Magasin during Christmas, for instance, and the theater were closed. And in the Grand Magasin, there were loads of people. So people don't understand why. Is the reason why that all the artists are, saying culture is necessary. Otherwise, a society with only Grand Magasin where you consume society, it's not, our future.
Before COVID, that's the point. The politics didn't react early enough on that. We have to start with music education in schools to create people who take value of that later also.
I'm wondering if from outside from Spain, you envy this slogan of the culture is secure. It was very strong here in Catalonia and in the rest of Spain. Why didn't work out in the rest of the countries? Why in Italy they didn't believe that culture is secure? And afterwards we're going to speak about this study from Germany, very recent, that shows and proves that it's impossible to contagious the virus with a 50% of audience. Please.
La statistica in Italia è favorevolissima, nel senso che chi viene in teatro ed è seduto in una poltrona rischia pochissimo, molto meno di andare a mangiare in un ristorante o prendere un mezzo pubblico. Quindi, il problema è che a livello nazionale il governo prende una decisione e questa decisione è difficile da spostare. L'associazione italiana ha provato, diciamo, a spingere questo, ma non è stato facile. Ci sono delle decisioni e quello che si ritiene, come diceva giustamente prima Christian, e sono d'accordo su quello che ha detto, non viene tenuto in considerazione, perché prima uno pensa a mantenere un po' l'economia, a fare mangiare le persone e a non stressarle. La cultura si lascia passare in secondo piano. E quello che ha detto Valentì trovo che sia giusto. Proprio ieri sera con Miguel Lerin parlavamo di questo, cioè come l'Europa con le sue radici che vengono dalla Grecia, dalla cultura ebraico-cristiana, che si sono congiunte e arrivate a noi, possa essere per tutto il mondo una luce di come si può vivere, no? Perché l'egoismo dell'uomo si sopraffà, lo vediamo in queste settimane, e invece di esportare le armi, parlo anche come italiano, potevamo forse più esportare il nostro modo di vivere, la nostra cultura, la giurisprudenza, tutto quello di bello e perché no, la musica e il senso del bello, e che ci distanzia dagli istinti più bassi. E per completare il suo discorso, la circolarità che si crea col pubblico e l'esecutore è unica. Non esiste uno streaming che possa avere questo ritorno. Spesso noi tutti che abbiamo organizzato nella nostra vita le opere abbiamo visto che lo stesso cast con un pubblico di veri appassionati rende il doppio. Anche nella paura della critica, ma è un dare e avere, è un cerchio. Quindi dobbiamo tornare a quello.
So are you aware of this study that came out last week or 2 weeks ago?
Yes. Well, unfortunately, not our government. Yeah. So, no, but I mean, it's always that. Well, in the theater itself, it's secure, but you have to go there. You meet your friends. You go maybe eating afterwards. So the cultural event creates again people that they may do something before and after, which is not good.
But just listen, we just ran out from Liceo and go to home regular.
That's the argument, because I mean nobody really says the contrary, that it's not secure, but what brings you there and what brings you back may be dangerous.
So maybe we can just put ourselves in the worst scenarios, in the work context, and do you have this fear of these austerity policies can force in the future to fusion orchestras, fusion even opera houses, fusion theaters? I don't know, maybe a city like Berlin that has 3, which are beautiful and wonderful, and each one with a personality. Can be this danger that politics thinks, okay, let's put them together, or even these 5 wonderful orchestras in Dutch. Let's not put any idea on the head of the politics, but...
Efectivamente, siempre hay un riesgo, y en Holanda yo creo que hace 6 o 7 años ya hubo muchos cortes y tuvieron que reducir los presupuestos y tuvieron que muchas orquestas perdieron la subvención, pero bueno, la cultura está bastante bien defendida en los Países Bajos, y además hay la suerte de que las subvenciones tampoco dependen del gobierno de turno, porque lo que se hace es que se firma como un contrato con el Ministerio de Cultura, que se presenta un plan Se presentó el año pasado, por ejemplo, y se firma un contrato por 4 años en el cual el gobierno se compromete con un presupuesto. Entonces, por ejemplo, hay elecciones generales ahora en marzo en los Países Bajos y el plan dura hasta 2024. Por lo tanto, nosotros tenemos como institución asegurada ya una aportación económica del gobierno hasta el 2024. Esto te da una cierta seguridad y también te permite trabajar a largo plazo con tranquilidad. Ya sabes con el dinero que puedes contar.
Incluso en plena pandemia, ¿eh? En un contexto
incluso con la pandemia, y además han aumentado el soporte económico por la falta de ingresos de taquilla. Por lo tanto, en este caso, el gobierno holandés se está portando bien.
Realmente.
Soy bastante nuevo en el país, llevo 2 años, por lo tanto, a lo mejor las cosas cambian si hay un nuevo gobierno ahora en el mes de marzo. Pero por la historia que sí que hubo unos cortes, es verdad, hace a lo mejor en la anterior crisis, en 2007, cuando hubo la crisis financiera, pero sí, pero desde entonces las subvenciones son regulares.
German, please.
I see the danger, and I think it's not only the danger that the discussion in Berlin about 3 operas may be brought up again, but also some solutions which other theaters did, I think, are dangerous. For example, there are opera houses which brought the orchestra to an external hall, big hall, so that they can keep the distances, and were transmitting the music, the orchestra music, into the hall. So kind of playback, but still live music. And this is, I think, a very dangerous offer to the audience. First, they will get used to this not good sound and can't listen to the difference anymore. And at some point, some young people, which are our future politicians and growing up now, think that could be the solution. Then, because then one orchestra in Germany could be enough for the whole country if you just transmit it. So I think we have to keep very much on the live. And also, as you said before, maybe smaller productions, smaller orchestras for now, okay, but it always has to be live and not transmitted. And no, that's why I'm also so allergic to this streaming.
Okay. Valentin, maybe you can add something about the orchestras in Barcelona, because we have 2, and maybe some people think that there are too much.
I think that nowadays it's impossible that 2 orchestras become one, because I think that both are complementary. So everyone has his own life and his own project, and I think that is necessary for a city like Barcelona to that both lives. I do really think that there is a big difference between the crisis that we had in 2008 and the crisis that we have nowadays in 2020. The crisis that we have in 2008 was a finance crisis, was a crisis because of the greed of people, and then because we wanted to be more than we were, so the policies that were applied were to reduce all the budgets, because we wanted to pretend to be someone much more. This is why we have a lot of loans and whatever. Nowadays, nowadays is economic crisis. And nowadays, Europe has decided to have to give money in order to try to have a step forward without many pain. I mean, if we do the things correctly, I think that over the next 2 years we will be able to be more or less like we were last year. Obviously, we have to have a budget balance always, and this is the thing that we have to do with a big effort. But so we can be bigger, or we can be more little, but always with a balanced budget.
Yeah.
But there will not be a big difference, I think, in the future, except what we said in the beginning of our conversation. We have to rethink how we are going to be. If we don't rethink anything, perhaps we are not to be with anyone else. We will disappear, right?
I really wanted to put on the table a little bit different point of view of something which has been said. I mean, our experience is not that I mean, the streaming or the live broadcasting or these sort of things is a threat for the live. I mean, it's, in my experience, maybe I'm wrong, but my experience is really the contrary. I mean, the broadcasting and the live is a promotion. It's a promotion for the live, really. What you are doing with the streaming and with broadcasting is really to promote the live performances. And also, it's also a very nice way to justify the subsidy, because at the end it's not true anymore what Christian is saying, what said before, that this is a product only for a few people. I mean, of course, it's not the same product, because the live and the streaming or the broadcasting is not exactly, of course, the same product, but both are products different, but with a fantastic quality, and one could probably, my impression is that in the future one can't really probably exist without the other. I think there is a lot of interconnection nowadays about these two things. I see the danger that you said, but honestly, in my experience, this contradiction, I don't really see it.
If I may,
please.
What Joan says, I agree, because we had a specific experience in our theater. Last March, we were rehearsing a world premiere of a Dutch composer, Ritratto, and we had to go to the lockdown just before the premiere. So we could only do the dress rehearsal. So we decided to film the dress rehearsal and put the dress rehearsal online as a world premiere, but it was a fake or an online world premiere. And it was a big success, and we had a lot of visitors viewing the world premiere. And then we had to change the whole season, the current season, and we decided to put live this world premiere. So the second opera in this season was this Ritratto, this world premiere of a Dutch, and we did the live world premiere. And this, as Joan says, this online experience was promotion, and we were sold out for the performances. Of course, that we had a limited capacity because of the restrictions, but we were sold out the whole series in a world premiere. So I agree with Joan.
And we had some other experiences. I mean, when we do I don't know, an opera in open broadcasting or whatever, you don't sell less tickets. I mean, you really sell more. But of course, when you do that with whatever repertoire opera, maybe you don't really see or you don't notice that well. But in the theater, we had one experience, when I was here, of something which was not a repertoire opera. I don't remember now if it was Wintermachen by Boismans or something like this. And the discussion was, if we do that through TV, nobody's going to come to the theater. And it was the opposite. I mean, it was very hard to sell before the TV. It was done by TV, and then the performances were much better sold. So I don't know. I mean, it's not easy. I mean, I think we are all right about that. There is a risk, there is a danger, but I think that streaming and live broadcasting is not the enemy. It's something which we need to be very much used in the future to cohabitate and to work with it, because I mean, this is not an enemy.
It's not an enemy. It's sorry, it's not an enemy. But I heard some small cities who have a theater, and the mayor says, "Why should I give subsidies to my theater? Because the people in my city, they can have all the filming of the major houses of the world." So, if the small theaters in the region close, we are going to die, because we are big house. All the houses here are big, important, but we live because in other cities in France, for instance, have a theater. And if they close because the mayor say, well, they can go to the movie 5 or 6 times a season for 20 euros to see a big cast from the majors, well, what's the point?
Yeah, well,
that's a danger.
Right.
That's a danger.
Another detail for a very big house, it was also the problem at the Metropolitan, that their cinema transmissions made people not come to New York anymore to see the shows.
Yeah. Exactly. Yes, probably that's...
The Met, that was really a problem, because before you would fly to New York to see the performance from all over the country, and then they went to the cinema.
Probably it's very good to broadcast, I don't know, whatever from the Met to Chicago. Or
I think it's a mixture.
But that you can see in Manhattan in a cinema which is next to the Met, the same yeah, that's maybe a problem.
Nowadays, I think that platforms, people need a lot of content, and we give content. And nowadays, the content is essential. I don't know if you talk with different media or wherever, the content is essential, and we give this content. And in the ecosystem of the arts, we need the book, we need the live theater, we need the cinema, because one needs each other in this ecosystem of creativity, of design, of arts. And so I think that if there is a part that is not involved, something will be wrong. So I think every part is absolutely essential in this change of value of the art. And we know that we are essential because in the opera, all the works, I mean, the lighting, the scene, the choreographer, the mise en scène, everything is needed in order to then develop other kind of art. So this is why I'm optimistic, because I think that we are essential in this part of ecosystem.
Okay, so maybe...
But I want to add something.
Yes, please.
Sorry if I
Of course,
speak too
Christian.
much. But we notice in France, for instance, the politicians are not the same quality. They don't have the same culture as 25 years ago,
Of course,
for instance.
not even
So
here.
that's a real problem.
Only influence.
Maybe, I don't know in other countries, because I don't want to talk about other countries, but in France, that's really a problem. You have major politicians who have never been to a concert, for instance, and it was not the case in the past. So that's also a danger, I think.
If I can say.
Yes, please.
We cannot count how many orchestras, how many small theaters have been closed in Italy, not during the COVID, during the last 20, 25 years, 30 years. And nobody cares because one day, one another day, and little by little, how many orchestras are disappeared. And nobody cares because, as a Christian said, normally, and that's why I really agree with the positive view of Valentin, but I hope it's not too much utopistic. Because I see like the arts, all the kind of arts, are seen by many of our politicians like entertainment, and not like something that we really need to build a good society. So it's a very big theme, this, but the problem is this view of the arts that are not something optional, are necessary to us. And in this case, when in a good view of the world, every streaming will be very welcome. It will be everything very nice because I can see Madrid, I can see Berlin, I can see New York from my home. But if this becomes the only way to see an opera, it's not enough. It's not a good way, I think.
Okay, so we are arriving at the end, and I would like just 20 seconds for everyone. Let's do it. Just one idea that you maybe wanted to say, and you didn't have the opportunity yet. So we have 20, 30 seconds each one. Please, Damien.
Well, no. I'm very grateful to be here, to be honest. And I have to say that from the Netherlands, we invite Spain that you can perform. Actually, my colleagues in the Dutch National Opera told me that it's impressive what the Liceu and the Teatro Real are doing. So keep on singing and keep on doing what you are doing. So bravo, bravi.
So,
Christoph.
as said before, we'll survive.
We'll survive. That's the idea. To be us.
Thankful and grateful to see this performance tonight. Looking very much forward to it, because there is nothing more depressing than an empty audience hall and no applause after an aria.
Thank you. Joan?
Well, I mean, the situation is very complicated, as you know, but we are going to fight to go on. We are going to fight to find a way to try to go on with every of the whole season that we have. if in a certain moment we need to close because there is no other solution, we will do it, but we are going to fight till the last minute to try that this is not happening and that we are imaginative and we are flexible and we are find ways to fight against the possibility to close.
Thank you. Valentin?
In every crisis, there is an opportunity, and I think that this crisis has to let us to have a better relationship with and a stronger relationship with the stakeholders. This means the audience, this means the government, this means our partners, and I think that this is a good period to make the different efforts and show how important is what we do and try to explain it to the different stakeholders.
Christian?
Je vais utiliser le français parce que je n'ai pas parlé français. Pour moi, c'est plus facile peut-être en français. Je crois encore au pouvoir de la voix et c'est la raison pour laquelle nous sommes dans ce concours du Concours Viñas. Nous croyons encore au pouvoir de la voix. Je suis un pessimiste optimiste et je pense qu'avec Faust, que nous allons le pacte avec le diable, eh bien, nous allons faire en sorte pour que la voix survive et que l'opéra survive. Voilà, c'est tout ce que je peux dire en français.
Merci beaucoup. Alessandro?
Io penso che l'opera è forte, è un grande messaggio, un messaggio che tocca tutte le corde della nostra mente, parla direttamente all'anima, non parla alla nostra razionalità. Quindi l'opera vincerà e vincerà con tanti teatri aperti e sono certo in un ritorno, non immediato, ci vorranno alcuni anni per riprenderci completamente.
Alessandro?
Well, we are all together now speaking about this, and this is already a great success to think for the future at the best.
That's right. Y el mayor éxito es que esta noche estos señores van a ir a ver la ópera Les Contes d'Hoffmann. Les dejamos desde el Gran Teatre del Liceu y por gentileza del Concurso Viñas. Muchísimas gracias por acompañarnos.